Most businesses don't become unstable by accident. They were never structurally stable to begin with. What often gets labeled as stability is simply momentum that hasn't been tested yet. And when momentum slows, what's underneath becomes visible. Many founders operate under a familiar assumption. If the business is growing, it must be stable. If revenue is increasing, the system must be working. If the team is busy, execution must be consistent. So the focus remains on expansion. More clients, more output, more activity. From the outside, everything appears aligned. The business is moving, the team is engaged, results are being produced. This creates confidence, because activity is interpreted as control. Momentum creates the illusion that the system is functioning. But activity does not equal structure, and over time, that difference becomes visible. Execution begins to vary depending on who is involved. Decisions slow down or escalate unpredictably. The same issues reappear across different situations. Leaders begin to step in more frequently, not because the team lacks capability, but because the system does not produce consistent outcomes. What initially feels like growth starts to reveal operational strain. The business continues to function, but it does not operate with predictability. It operates with dependence. Dependence on individuals. Dependence on intervention. Dependence on constant correction. And that dependence is what creates fragility. Because when stability depends on people, it cannot be sustained at scale. The issue is not effort. The issue is the absence of structured design. Most organizations operate on informal systems. Processes exist, but they are not documented. Expectations exist, but they are not standardized. Decisions are made, but ownership is not clearly defined. The assumption is that experience, communication, and effort will compensate. They do not. Because without defined systems, execution becomes dependent on interpretation. Each individual fills gaps differently. Each team develops its own way of operating. This introduces variability, and variability creates instability. This results in a structural misalignment between leadership intent, operational execution, actual outcomes. What leadership expects is not consistently what the system produces. So consistency must be forced through intervention. Leaders step in to clarify. They step in to correct. They step in to ensure alignment. But intervention does not scale. It increases dependency. And dependency reduces stability, because the system cannot operate without constant input. Over time, this creates a reinforcing cycle. More growth leads to more complexity. More complexity leads to more variability. More variability leads to more intervention. And more intervention increases dependency. This is how instability develops, even inside growing businesses. To build stability, organizations must shift from effort-driven execution to system-driven design. 1. Define decision architecture. Every critical decision must have a clearly defined owner. Not shared responsibility, not assumed authority. Defined ownership. This removes ambiguity. When ownership is unclear, decisions slow down. They get delayed, they get escalated, they get revisited unnecessarily. This creates friction across the system. When ownership is clear, execution accelerates. Decisions are made with confidence. Responsibility is understood. Accountability is consistent. This creates alignment across the organization, and alignment reduces variability. It also improves speed without sacrificing quality. 2. Systematize execution paths. Execution should not rely on memory or individual judgment. It should follow repeatable processes, documented workflows, clear steps, defined outcomes. This removes variation. Without process, each person interprets work differently. This leads to inconsistent outputs. Inconsistent outputs create unpredictable performance. With process, execution becomes standardized. Consistency is not achieved by asking people to perform better. It is achieved by designing systems that produce the same result repeatedly. This creates reliability. And reliability is what enables scale. 3. Build for performance under pressure. Most systems appear effective under normal conditions. But stability is not measured when conditions are ideal. It is measured under stress, increased demand, unexpected issues, resource constraints. These are the moments that reveal system strength. If the system breaks under pressure, it was never stable. It was only functioning under favorable conditions. True stability is the ability to maintain performance despite variability. This is what allows a business to operate with confidence in uncertain environments. Organizations that rely on momentum for stability become fragile as they scale. Growth introduces complexity. More clients, more transactions, more variables. Without structure, complexity amplifies inconsistency. Inconsistency creates operational risk. This leads to predictable outcomes. Reactive leadership. Unpredictable performance. Limited scalability. The business becomes dependent on key individuals. Decisions require escalation. Execution requires supervision. This creates bottlenecks. And bottlenecks limit growth, because the system cannot expand beyond its dependencies. In contrast, organizations that design stability into their systems operate differently. They align execution with structure. They reduce dependency on individuals. They create repeatable performance. They operate with control, not through effort, but through design. This allows them to scale without compounding risk. There is also a behavioral effect. When systems are undefined, teams begin to compensate. They create their own ways of working. They rely on communication instead of clarity. They depend on experience instead of structure. At first, this appears adaptive, but over time it creates fragmentation. Different teams operate differently. Standards become inconsistent. Outcomes become unpredictable. This reduces alignment across the organization, because there is no single system guiding execution. In contrast, structured organizations maintain cohesion. Processes are consistent. Expectations are clear. Execution is aligned. This creates stability across teams. And stability across teams enables scale. From a leadership standpoint, the absence of structure creates a hidden cost. Time. Leaders spend time correcting issues that should not exist, clarifying decisions that should already be defined, resolving problems that should have been prevented. This reduces strategic capacity. Instead of focusing on growth, leaders are forced into operational maintenance. This is where many businesses plateau, not because they lack opportunity, but because their system cannot support further scale. In contrast, structured systems increase leadership leverage. They reduce the need for intervention. They increase predictability of outcomes. They allow leaders to focus on direction, not correction. As organizations mature, stability becomes a differentiator, not just internally, but competitively. Stable organizations deliver consistent outcomes. Consistent outcomes build trust. Trust strengthens positioning. In contrast, unstable organizations experience variability, and variability weakens confidence, both internally and externally. Over time, this affects client retention, team performance, strategic flexibility. Stability is not just an operational advantage, it is a strategic one. Stability is not something a business experiences. It is something a business is designed to produce. Because what holds a business together is not activity, it is structure. And structure is what allows growth without creating fragility.